First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by Weather Rate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Great report there from Robert. Our boots on the ground out there in Tallahassee over the next 24 to 36 hours. And Helene continues to strengthen. 85-mile-per-hour winds right now. By tomorrow morning, likely over 100. And the winds are really going to be the key contributor here. Hurricane Debbie that hit Florida back in mid-August was a slow-moving rainfall event. This time around, yes, we will see some minor flooding, especially some street flooding during some of those heavier downpours. But really, the winds are going to be the biggest impact for a lot of folks, especially the further west you go. West of I-75, out there near Perry, Tallahassee, Cedar Key even, and just to the west of Lake City, that is where the worst of those winds are going to be, likely more than 110 miles per hour in this pink or purple shaded region. Now, Valdosta in the red, you're going to see Category 1 hurricane force winds, anywhere from 74 to 110. Here in Jacksonville and much of the really populated area of the First Coast, right along I-95, we're expecting about 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. So we will see a few power outages here along I-95 and across Jacksonville tomorrow evening with some of those stronger wind gusts. But really, the further west you go, the worse the damage will likely be and the more extensive a lot of those power outages are going to be. And really, it's just because the wind field from Helene is just so wide, over 345 miles wide are the tropical storm force winds. So nearly the entire peninsula tomorrow afternoon and evening will be experiencing at least 40, if not upwards of 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. But those damaging hurricane winds are going to be very secluded to Appalachia Bay where it does move on shore. But just see how far inland those hurricane force winds continue. Pretty much right to the west of I-75 into southwestern and then eventually southern Georgia. So folks on the south side of both Macon and Atlanta really could certainly experience wind gusts upwards of 60 to even 80 miles per hour until everything kind of clears on out there by Friday afternoon. So really, here's just another way to look at it. Wind gusts tomorrow morning, anywhere from about 25 to 30 miles per hour. By lunchtime, they start to increase upwards of potentially about 40. By the time maybe you're heading home on your evening commute, 45 to 50. So after about 4 or 5 o'clock, I certainly don't recommend being out on the roadway. So the majority of your day, it'll be all right. We'll see a few isolated tornado threats or warnings out there, but the winds really don't ramp up until after about 4 to 5 p.m. tomorrow evening. And then after sunset, especially out towards I-75, Columbia County, Lake City, Clinch County, and up into Pierce, Brantley County, up near Waycross and the Okeechobee, could be seeing those 70 to potentially 80, even 90 mile per hour wind gusts. 40 to 60 here along the coast, and then those winds finally begin to taper off by early Friday morning. Now, with regards to the rainfall, a lot of these are just going to come in bands. One heavy band is expected right around the morning commute tomorrow morning. We'll see a few breaks in the rain and the heavy waves of just downpours that will likely roll on through. But some of these will have an isolated tornado risk, particularly across southeast Georgia. So pretty much from Savannah down to Brunswick and even the north sides of Fernandina Beach, we'll certainly see the best chance to see some tornado warnings. But all of us still will have that risk of a few quick spin-ups as these bands move onshore throughout the day tomorrow. Rain, though, will likely still continue through most of the evening until the eye finally moves onshore tomorrow evening, right around about 8 to 9 p.m. again in Appalachia Bay, before it then finally moves on northward by Friday morning. You might actually be surprised to see the sunrise. But rain really not going to be the big story. Only about 1 to 2 inches expected across most of I-95, besides a few localized pockets of some heavier rain. The most, though, is certainly going to be well out to the west. And really, why is that? Well, we got the system kind of colliding with a cold front to the north. So all of this tropical moisture is slamming right up against that front. That is dragging it up across much of Georgia, even Alabama, the Panhandle. Not nearly as much rainfall and tropical moisture then going to be expected here across the First Coast. So not so much a rain event, certainly going to be a wind event. Here's just really another way to look at it. I'll move out of the way so you can see strongest wind gusts between really about 6 p.m. and 2 a.m. tomorrow evening. We'll see bands of heavy rain on throughout the day. A quick spin-up tornado will be possible nearly all day long, and the storm surge also not going to be all that terrible either. Now, here just breaking it quick down, county by county. Duval, worse for you after 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. Wind gusts upwards of 60. The worst of the storm will certainly be across our western areas. Gusts upwards of 80 to 90 miles per hour. Isolated tornado risk as well. Slightly lower risk for southeast Georgia, particularly Brantley, Pierce, Charlton counties. Gusts upwards of about 75. And then our more southern counties, that's going to include St. John's, Flagler, Clay, Putnam counties. Wind gusts only upwards of 50 to 60. And those worst portions of the day will happen a little bit earlier in the afternoon. Will continue up until really about midnight then tomorrow evening. Thankfully, after that, things finally quiet down for the weekend.